All right, so we're going to be talking about water filtration technologies and the water problems that we have here in Houston and surrounding. I mean, it's now impacting the Woodlands and Sugarland and pretty much everywhere. And we're going to talk about why. I've got Chris with Mock Plumbing with me, and they have some excellent solutions to this problem. So whether you're a commercial business like a restaurant, bars, or homes, our water quality has gone to crap. You know, and there's a good explanation for that. So you would say, well, the water was fine 30, 40 years ago. Okay, well, there's been substantial changes that you're not aware of. So let's talk about that. Where do we get our water from? Well, Sugarland is a good example. They had 4 pumping wells, and groundwater and well water is the best, cleanest water on the planet. It's God's perfect product, right? The ground's an excellent filter. Takes years for it to get down there, and they overused it. They built $1 million houses. They have, 4-inch pipes watering their lawns every week, and don't seem to want to reduce that. So in a period of like 20 years, they literally sucked all the water out of the ground. The city sank almost 12 inches, the entire city. So they had to go to Houston and start buying the water from Houston. Well, where does Houston get its water? From the rivers. Okay, rivers. And what's in a river? Well, think about it. You see all the chemical spills we have. You all the pesticides, everything, a big problem I know you run into is when these dry cleaners have chemicals that bleed out into the neighborhoods and make people sick.
Yeah.
Right. And that's just an isolated area. But you can imagine with oil and gas and all the stuff that's on the surface, when it rains, that's where the water goes. Right. So now all those chemicals are in that water, and the city pulls it in. These big cities pull that water in to a huge vat, and they pull out the trees and the license plates and all that stuff. And they've got this nasty, murky water, and then they just pour chlorine into it until it's toxic, and it bleaches the water, right?
Yeah.
So there is no process to remove these chemicals, and we all see the trends in health issues. I've met people that have autistic kids that are super sensitive to chemicals. I mean, you wouldn't believe what they have to go through to deal with that. You've got all these immune compromised people taking all kinds of pills to stay healthy, and water is the one thing that our body needs to be vibrant.
Yeah.
That is like the core thing. And then you've got the hardness of the water.
Yeah, it's bad.
So now that we understand the problem, what's the solution?
Well, we have 2 solutions. One is a whole house filter that we can install. It's a 3-stage system. First is removes debris, dirt, things like that. The second, it goes through activated carbon. And then the third is a conditioning media. And that'll protect your whole house. Secondly, we have an RO system, reverse osmosis system, that actually strips everything out the water, and that goes underneath the kitchen sink, and you can use that for your drinking water, coffee, things of that nature.
Okay, so it's important to understand the distinction between these systems because they do different things, right?
Yeah.
And when you're talking about most people, they think, I'm going to put a softener on my house so that I can make the water feel better and it's less corrosive and destructive to plumbing fixtures, appliances, and all this. So do you advise that that's a good idea?
No, it's anything is better than nothing, honestly. But they're moving to what they call conditioners. Just a softener alone is not sufficient.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so explain what's the difference?
Okay, a softener is a salt-based system. You have to have electricity, you have to add salt, and you have to have a drain. And they're getting away from those because they have to, what's the word?
They have to take the runoff and they have to put it in your sewer.
Right. So it's putting salt water.
You can't just displace that water on the ground, or you can get fined for it.
Correct. And it doesn't have a pre-filter. It doesn't filter out the debris. When we install a system, we go out and change the pre-filter free of charge after 6 months, and that's my favorite part of the sale. When you see how dirty this thing is, you can just run your finger through it and pull out this nasty
it's
slime.
nasty.
It's horrible. And so the water's, it's, not only is it dirty with dirt, but it
You're
has a lot of
drinking that.
chemicals. Yeah. A lot of chemicals, and it's very hard, and that hard water is corrosive to everything it touches. Coffee maker, dishwasher, washing machine, water heater, fixtures, you name it. So a lot of these houses that have copper pipes are getting pinhole leaks because of the hard water.
Copper is supposed to be a lifetime product,
Right.
Like, doesn't corrode, but what I've heard that has started causing all these pinhole leaks in those is the chemicals. They would change from chlorine to a product called chloramine,
Yeah.
which is similar but different, but super corrosive to copper.
Yeah, that may be accurate. I don't know. I'm not a scientist per se, but
I've read an engineering report on that, and somebody did a news story on it, and I was like, wow.
I do have a lot of
gonna ask you
customers
about that.
ask me about chloramine.
You should never have a pinhole leak
Right,
in
no.
copper unless you got a bad solder joint.
Right.
Right?
And it's one of those things where, customers don't see what we see. We're in the trenches. We have to cut the pipes, and you can see inside of them. You can see the dirt build up and the debris and the calcium build up. I always tell customers, if you spend the money on a whole house filter over a 5 or 10 year period, you're going to get your money back.
Well, and so now you've got probably one of the hottest trends right now are people that are getting into shape and health, and they're health conscious about what they're eating and drinking and all this. So, you got to understand, if you just call your water district and ask them for their water quality report, they'll send it to you, or they'll email it to you, or it's readily available online. And when you look at that report and you see this long list of chemicals you can't pronounce, okay, chances are that's probably not good to be consuming a lot of.
The other thing, too, is that water can get dirty and change throughout the pipes.
Well, that's true too.
So all I know is I see the end result, and it is not clean. It is dirty.
So the solution to these complex mixtures is the reverse osmosis system. So the things that you're consuming, your drinking water, your cooking water, that's a point of view system. So that goes in your kitchen, right? That will extract pretty much everything.
Yes.
And it's the only system that can do that. There is not another system made that can do that. Okay.
And they don't make those for a whole house. Well, you can get them, but they're $20,000.
Yeah, you don't want that for a whole house.
No.
You basically just want that for point of view drinking. But I think it's
really affordable too.
They are very affordable.
Very affordable. Yes.
I have built tons of houses, and I've watched these things age, and the ones that where you've got expensive appliances and some of these people, some of you guys spend a lot of money on $10,000 fridges and probably $6,000 worth of washers and dryers. And when my clients that have the filtration and the softening on their houses, their stuff lasts twice as long. So think about that.
Yeah.
If you're considering this, Mock Plumbing is the best company to do it. Look, you're going to get a fair price. They're a small company. They don't have massive overhead like these companies. And you want a plumber installing plumbing fixtures. You don't want some guy knocking doors that's all they do is sell softeners, okay? And they're using unqualified, untrained people to install it.
Correct.
You ever have to go back and fix that?
We call them Chuck in a truck.
Yeah,
Chuck in a
He's
truck.
like, oh, you had Chuck in a truck? I'll be right over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or your local handyman, per se.
But, today, especially today, you can imagine all of the stuff that's on the ground between the oils and the chemicals and all that. I mean, it's mind-boggling. It's getting worse. So I highly suggest that you do invest in this technology, not only to improve the quality of your life, but to protect your investment in your home. So we'll have the number right here. You can give Mock Plumbing a call. They service the southwest region of Houston, and they do an incredible job.